Bethesda is known for quite a few franchises. They're known for Skyrim and Fallout. They're also known for a bit of a Resident Evil type style game called The Evil Within. And I want to say Evil Within 2 just came out either last year or earlier this year in 2018. To pretty good critical review. I've watched a couple of YouTubers play it and get scared silly because it's kind of like on the Resident Evil 7 type of horror, except maybe with a little bit of cheese dashed in just to get closer to those older RE games. So this story broke earlier, just a few days ago from now, where we had an incident where someone on Amazon tried to sell his unused, sealed version of Evil Within 2. And I believe it was the PS4 version of Evil Within 2. And he never got around to playing it. And he basically so he went to sell it, and he did label it as this is a new copy of the game. Well, he got a notice from Bethesda saying you need to either take down your posting of this this offer to sell your game off of Amazon, or you need to change. You can't call this a new game. You have to call it a used game because you've owned it. And I guess if you want to get really, anal retentive about this, then the correct term would be pre-owned game. So a lot of people, and this was apparently very they didn't expect it to get out the way that it did, the way that it was so widely reported. Because a lot of people are giving Bethesda a lot of heat for this, and as they should, because it is a bit ridiculous that they're going after this guy. So
just for the terminology, basically.
Yeah, just for the terminology. So here's the quote that Pete Hines, who is the senior vice president of marketing and communications for Bethesda, he was explaining to Eurogamer that they don't have an issue with him reselling the game. They have an issue with him saying that it's a new copy of the game. So this is what Hines told Eurogamer. We are not trying to stop anybody selling a used game. We would never try and stop anybody selling a used game. We do not have an issue with people representing, we do have an issue with people representing they are selling a new copy of the game when we have no ability to tell it's actually new, so we aren't going to allow somebody to say this is new. He follows that up with, you could have opened it up, played it for 5 hours, taken whatever inserts or stuff was in there, put it back in shrink wrap, and said, hey, this is new. It's not new, you owned it, you bought it, so just list it as a used title. That's it. That's the end of the argument.
Oh yeah, you know how much people like to buy games and just steal those inserts and then resell them.
Well, and there are so there are dimensions to this story, which is why I wanted to bring it up. Couple of issues. They have some. He does make some good points. For instance, there are these days. I don't think Evil Within 2 has this particular feature, but a lot of games nowadays have what's called, if there's an online component to the game, a lot of times you will get a code that is an online pass to play the game. I'll give you an example. I purchased used PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale for PlayStation Vita. And I can't play that game online because I bought it used. The person didn't include the online code, and even if they did, if they've already
once, right?
You can only use it once for one system. It registers the game to that system and says, okay, this was a new game purchase. It's basically to kind of combat the sales of used games in a roundabout way. I could go to the PlayStation Store online and buy a multiplayer voucher for like $20, but I was never going to play it online anyway. So I'm fine with my purchase.
Right.
And I didn't even that didn't even come into my mind. Like, I hope that they include the online pass. Like, I don't care, but someone who buys a used copy might. But if you buy a used copy, that is definitely a legitimate concern. Like, am I going to have to buy something extra to really get the full experience of the game? So they are right about that. Yeah, if you're saying this is new and something like that is missing, that's a problem.
Yeah. But in this case, it doesn't even sound like the dude opened it, right?
Right. And they're saying, well, there's no way to prove that. Here's an idea, Bethesda. It's not any of your business. Like, you don't have the right to. I'm sorry, even if this guy was lying, I don't see how you can sue someone saying you are misrepresenting. It's just like he says, well, we have no idea if he got on and played for 5 hours. Actually, there are ways of tracking that. You can see if that person's PlayStation account has any registered trophies for the game, if it has any playtime logged, because that is all recorded now. So technically, you could see if this person ever played Evil Within 2. But even if you could say that, who's to say he doesn't have 2 copies?
Yeah.
Like, it's not. It's nothing that they can't prove. Just like they're saying, well, we can't prove that this is new, or he can't prove that it's new. You can't prove that it's not.
Right. I don't know. I guess I do get, though. I guess like it seems like their concern is like he's kind of like misrepresenting, like he's kind of like representing them in a way, like, and I guess they feel like that because he's saying it's new, which when you hear that something's new, it kind of implies that it's coming from the original seller. I don't know.
I mean, well, but that kind of goes to what I said with the whole, like, well, there's new, there's used, and then actually the term that GameStop uses is pre-owned.
Which is when you buy it and don't open it, or like barely?
No, pre-owned just means used, but it's a larger... Number one, it sounds nicer than used, because used tends to mean that
used,
it's
like
been worn.
Yeah,
it's been... It may not be in the best condition. Whereas pre-owned simply means someone else owned this before you.
Yeah.
It's a very neutral term to use. So that's what GameStop uses now. So, but the thing is and his, by the way, this seller, I wish we had his name in the article from Game of Sutra that we are referencing, but he actually said, well, his reasoning is the reason why, he may not have said this, but this is why he would actually put new in the title. It will sell faster if it's new. Mm-hmm. Sorry.
People want to buy it more.
Yeah, and by the way, and this actually, myself as a gamer, like, if I can get something new, I will buy it new. When I walk in a GameStop and I'm ready to pay $60 for a game, I'm not interested in saving $5 just so that I can get a used copy, especially for games on disc. Mm-hmm. Like,
yeah,
I baby my discs, I baby my games to the point where, I mean, I have PS1 games that are still just fine and working perfectly.
Yeah,
they're not scratched or anything like that. It's because I take care of my stuff. Other people do not. Like, I have friends who I've seen how they handle stuff. They pick up a CD like this with their fingers together on both sides, and it's just like, don't do that. Why? I'm not going to scratch it. You'll get it dirty, and then you'll try to clean it, and then you will scratch it.
And your fingers have oils on them, which don't help the quality.
They do not. You grab it around the edge. You put your little finger in the ring in the center.
How hard is that to understand? Discs, records, don't grab them.
Yeah. Don't make contact with the readable material. Anyway.
Do they have legal? Is this are they in a good position legally with this lawsuit or whatever? I hope not.
I wouldn't think so. And also, it's just bringing them a whole bunch of bad press. And sorry, this Hines guy, I don't like him simply saying this is the end of the argument. Basically trying to sweep it under the rug,
right?
And just being like, there's no response to
There's no
this.
other way to look at this.
There's only one way to look at this. So it's like, no, there's plenty of ways to look at this.
Right.
And by the way, if you want to get mad at someone, Bethesda, I know this wasn't your game, but where were you a few years ago when Xenoblade Chronicles had a limited release in the US for the Nintendo Wii? It was published by no, I think it was published at least in part by GameStop. Actually published it, and you can only get the game at GameStop. And what GameStop stores were doing is they were opening the game. So they were opening the game so that they can then market pre-owned, which is false. No one owned the game. But the reason why they were doing it is because when a new game comes out, you cannot, by law, go past the suggested retail price. At the time, it was
and call it pre-owned.
Yeah,
then you can price it however you want.
Right, $49 new, but let's make it pre-owned, and then the pre-owned market, due to the scarcity of the game, can allow us to sell it for an additional $30-$40, which is what they did. They did.
That's super shady.
Super shady. I have talked to people who worked at GameStop, and they defend it, and I'm just like, how can you defend that practice? That is just straight up wrong. It's the opposite. Basically, it was the opposite problem. They were taking a new game and selling it pre-owned just so that they could sell it at any price. That's not what this guy's doing.
Right.
He's simply saying, he's being truthful about it. He's like, I bought this game new. I have not played it. Therefore, it's still new. It's still in the package. The buyer just has to take his word at that point or just not buy it.
And then if they get it and it turns out it is, then there might be an issue.
Then they can take it up with Amazon, and Amazon will handle it. But this whole, like, getting your legal team involved in this, Bethesda, like, that's
kind of low.
Bad form.
Yeah.
It's like, just stay out of the reselling market unless someone's being, like, obviously nefarious. Like, this is you're on very, in my opinion, I would think they're on very shaky legal grounds here to go about with this. So just give it up.